What's up, Ravens fans? You guys have a lot of questions, as you'd expect, after that disappointing loss to the Steelers on Sunday. So we'll get to 3 of them in our Ravens mailbag segment, and we'll start with the game coming up on Sunday against the Bengals. By the way, there is still one game left on the schedule. People have kind of forgotten about that. It's going to be Steve Smith Sr.'s likely his last game, and Cambria wants to know, is it really, really official that Steve is going to retire? And if so, do you think he will retire a Raven? I'm going to miss number 89 so much.
No, it's not official that Steve Smith is going to retire, but I think that he will. I mean, Steve retired last year and then decided to come back and give it one more go. I think that was the general expectation, even though he never really spelled that out. And even judging by his most recent communication on Instagram, he reached out to fans and thanked them for welcoming him to Baltimore and opening their arms to him. I think that sounds like a guy that's on his way out. And I'll tell you one thing, if this is Steve's last game, which I expect it to be, tune in because it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, in terms of the second part of that question, who will he retire as? That's not a real thing. I mean, it's more of a symbolic thing. And I tell you what, I think that both Carolina and Ravens fans, they're going to claim him as their own.
Yeah, it's a baseball thing. In baseball, if a player's going into the Hall of Fame, they declare what team they're retiring with or going in with.
Yeah.
It's not a football thing.
Yeah. All right, the next question, we'll jump to it from Twitter, from Adam Tawadi. He wants to know, are we going to start some of the backups next week? Like maybe give Joe Flacco, Steve, some of those guys the day off so they can rest.
Yeah. Steve ain't getting the day off.
I don't think Steve's interested in resting
No.
if this is going to be his last game. And I don't think Joe Flacco or any of the other veterans are really interested in resting. They got all offseason to rest, and they know that. And John Harbaugh talked about this earlier in the week. He said that the expectation is that they're going to play their starters. They're going to go out there and they're going to try to win this game. So the ones that you would maybe consider would be guys like Marshall Yanda and Terrell Suggs, who've been playing hurt for really the second half of the season. Do they say, okay, this injury is something you just need to shut them down? But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that both Suggs and Yanda, 2 veterans on this team, they're going to want to play. They've been playing through it the whole year, and I just don't see them being really interested in watching from the sidelines and sitting this one out.
I think they set an example for everybody else. You finish the season strong. You finish it to win. And the other point of it is Terrell Suggs has a torn biceps. Does a torn biceps get any more torn?
Yeah,
it's torn, right?
Right.
So, I don't know. If it's not a situation where it could make an injury worse, then I think they probably suit up for this one.
Yep.
Last question comes from Robert Atwood, and Robert wants to know, what are the most important pieces we need for next year? Well, Robert's turning the page after this Bengal game.
He's ready to look ahead.
Understandable. I think a very important piece is going to be the pass rush. The Ravens rank near the bottom of the league in terms of sacks this season. That's not going to cut it for a defense that looks to be aggressive every single year. Now, they have some young pass rushers on the roster already, Kamalai Correa, Zadarius Smith. So they need to develop those guys, Matt Judon. Yeah. They need to develop all those guys, but with Terrell Suggs leaving, I'll tell you what, I think you need a premier kind of edge setter out there. You might need to also address that position once again. The other position I look at, and we've been talking about this for a long time, is wide receiver. I know that's a favorite of the fans. You look at the Steelers game, I mean, wide receivers all over the place. Antonio Brown, weapons offensively all over the place. The Ravens, again, have young players there. Brashad Perryman needs to develop a little bit more, but I think it's another position where you have an aging vet on the way out, Steve Smith. You're going to have to replace him, so I think you address wide receiver once again.
You think we're going to talk any more about wide receivers this offseason?
Just a little bit, a few more times.
Yeah.
A few more times.
We're going to dive into all of that over the next several weeks and months as we get ready for the draft. We're not there yet, though. One game left, but as always, we love to hear from you guys, so send in your questions on social media. Thanks for watching today, and have a great rest of your day.